Welcome. I would like to welcome you to episode 302 of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. And here at the Unpopular Podcast, I'm not really asking you to agree with me. I'm just asking you to hear me out. I felt that it would be appropriate to start the episode with a update on the condition that Damar Hamlin is going through right now. I know you guys aren't coming to the Unpopular Podcast because to get the update, because I mean you can get it anywhere. But what they're saying is, he's breathing on his own. He FaceTimed his teammates. Everything is looking good. Shouts out to him. He still has ways to go, but they took the breathing tube out. It's funny. I can't, for the life of me, understand. And I know this is a sports podcast. This isn't a political podcast. This isn't a religion podcast. I don't understand how people, let me not go there. The power of prayer works. The power of prayer works, and it looks the doctors are saying that he's pretty much made a turn for the better, for the best. So I'm happy to hear it. Clearly his family's happy to hear it. The whole sports world is happy to hear it. And yeah, man. And of course, with the news of Damar Ham, for the better, now we can turn our focus to what is going to happen with the game that was the Cincinnati Bengals and the Bills. This game had a lot of ramifications, especially when we talk about, the number one seed in the AFC and everything. What the league is going to do is they're going to do no contest. The games, I don't know if it's going to go as a tie. I don't really know as far as record-wise what no contest means. It just means like it's not going to play. Maybe it doesn't count. I don't know. I know that there's ramifications if the Ravens beat the Bengals this week, if the Chiefs lose, if the Bills lose. Y'all go. There's a lot. Go figure that out. But which we'll talk about it when I do my breakdowns a little more, or do my predictions a little more. But I don't think the Bengals are going to lose to the Ravens, or at least this iteration of the Ravens. I definitely don't think the Bills. I think the Bills are going to play probably one of the best games they played in a while because of the news that they got about Damar Hamlin, and the spirits are high and they're just ready to get back on the field. So yeah, I'm happy for Damar Hamlin. I'm happy for his family. I'm so happy. Prayer is powerful, man. Prayer is powerful, and it works. It works in the way that God wants it to work. So I definitely am happy to hear the turnaround. Because again, what we heard for the past few days was critical condition, but this, critical condition, but that. And now we're hearing, he's in good spirits. I'm just happy to hear it, man. I'm happy to hear it. Again, it's going to take a long point to get him back on the field, clearly. But even in this moment, even with Damar Hamlin being, getting better, the football is definitely second. Like a person, his life is always first, and all the other football stuff, worry about that when to worry about it. But for the game, it was a no contest. They're not gonna, because there was no way. There's really no way to make it up unless you played on Thursday Night Football. But that really wouldn't work, because then you have to go and play Sunday or play Saturday, which is definitely not healthy for anybody. So there was really no way that you can make this up unless you extended the whole regular season a week. But that they weren't going to do that for one team or for two teams. So I get the fact that it's I knew there was really no way that you could make it up. I just didn't know how this would affect, teams like the Ravens trying to win the AFC North, or the Chiefs and the Bills and the trying to get to the number one seed. So I get it. And the NFL did the right thing. I know that they were trying their hardest probably to make this game up, but the right thing is just to cancel the game or make it a no contest or make it a tie, whatever you want to do, and just move on to the next week. So that's that. And speaking of moving on, you know the saying, the grass is not always green on the other side. Or definitely be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. That is exactly what the Baltimore Ravens are going through right now. Now, I'm not saying that they asked for an injury for Lamar Jackson. But what the Ravens are starting to are experiencing right now is what it's like to not have a franchise or generational quarterback. Lamar Jackson has been out for like probably a month now with a knee injury. And the culture in sports is, as a player, you try your hardest and you try everything that you can do to get back on the field or get back on the court or get back on the ice or whatever sport you play, to get back to said sport, especially later in the season, towards the end of the season, at the end of the season, when the playoffs are coming. And whether if it's not a serious injury, when I mean serious injury, I mean like ACL or broken anything. Like if it's not that serious, usually players try their best and try everything they can, especially if they're in playoff contention, like the Baltimore Ravens, or the Baltimore Ravens have already clinched the playoffs, but working for seeding like the Baltimore Ravens, players that are dealing with knee injuries that you can still walk, you maybe be able to still run, I don't know. But they try their hardest to get back on the field. But what the Baltimore Ravens are experiencing right now is the fruits of their labors. What do I mean by that? I said this before the season started. A lot of the media pundits, sports media pundits, said this before the season started. They said the Baltimore Ravens do not want to play with Lamar Jackson, especially when we're talking about a contract. Because Lamar Jackson, what happens if he gets hurt? A lot of people, including myself, thought Lamar Jackson shouldn't play until they got the contract situated because of the style in which Lamar Jackson plays. You see, Lamar Jackson doesn't play like Justin Herbert. Lamar Jackson doesn't play like Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't play like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. Lamar Jackson is one of one. There is no other player in the league like Lamar Jackson. And Baltimore knows that. The league knows that. Lamar Jackson knows that. So when I say the grass is not always greener on the other side, Lamar Jackson's injured. And the team thinks he's good enough or should be good enough to play. Lamar Jackson thinks otherwise. And now you have a, for lack of a better term, power struggle between the team and Lamar Jackson. I go back to when I said, and when people said before the season, Lamar Jackson shouldn't play this year because of the style in which he plays. Lamar Jackson is the fastest, one of the fastest, if not the fastest quarterback using his legs. He also can throw the ball. What we're seeing is this. And Ryan Clark said it perfectly. It's always been said the Baltimore Ravens are built around Lamar Jackson. Plain and simple. Lamar, the Lamar Jackson is the Baltimore Ravens. They are Lamar Jackson. But what we're finding out, and what the Baltimore Ravens, are finding out is even the team that you built around Lamar Jackson is not a good team. That's why I said when it happened, Rashard Bateman's injury was so huge, because they already lack talent at the wide receiver position, and your number one receiver is out. So now you have to worry about, or you have to depend on people like Devin DuVernay, who's a return specialist, or Deshaun Jackson, who, while in his prime was a really good wide receiver, but they had to get him off the street. No disrespect to Deshaun Jackson, but he's not the Deshaun Jackson of old. He's not the Philadelphia Eagles Deshaun Jackson anymore. So what the Ravens are realizing is, while yes, this team is built around Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson makes this team 10 times better. And it's actually maybe even 100 times better. Because realize the same team that Lamar Jackson had, and when he was playing, they were number one in the AFC North. Now, you look at this same team. The offense is terrible. Defense is the defense. And Tyler Huntley's cool, but he's not Lamar Jackson, which is causing tension in the locker room. Well, causing tension in the organization between their star quarterback, Lamar Jackson, and the front office. Now, reports are saying that the team is not upset with Lamar Jackson. They understand. John Harbaugh, the coach, he's not upset with Lamar Jackson. He understands. They're upset with the business aspect. And what does that mean? That means that this couldn't have all been avoided. Be careful. Which goes back to my statement. They're reaping what they sowed, because they didn't sow a contract that Lamar Jackson was asking for. Now, yes, they offered Lamar Jackson a contract. That gets lost in this whole thing. They offered Lamar Jackson a contract. But we talked about this a while ago, and people will talk about this when they talk about contracts. What is the market? What is the market? What Deshaun Watson got for a brief stint set the market. Now, people like Russell Wilson, people like Kyler Murray, people like Aaron Rodgers, they went below that because people understand and teams understand they're not trying to give out fully guaranteed contracts. I am one of the people that think you should, especially in a sport like the NFL, where one play, i.e. Damar Hamlin, can drastically affect your life. But when Deshaun Watson got that fully guaranteed contract, and then you look at someone like Lamar Jackson, who was a unanimous MVP his second year, and the lifeline for the Baltimore Ravens, you think to yourself, well, if Deshaun Watson, who has all this off the field issues, and while he's a good quarterback, he hasn't nearly came close to achieving what I've achieved, I deserve what he gets or more. And Lamar Jackson is absolutely correct. But again, the Ravens are seeping what they sowed. When you play hardball with somebody, or when somebody has the leverage, which is Lamar Jackson, and you don't give them what they feel they deserve, then you get instances like this. A lot of people, including myself, didn't think Lamar Jackson should play in the first place. I was very adamant in saying, you should not get on the field if that you don't have the contract that you want and deserve because of situations like this, getting hurt. What happens if you get hurt? Then you give them the reason why we don't want to give you the contract is because you can't stay healthy. But I will give credit to Lamar Jackson. He did something that he played the game extremely well. This is why I'm not a GM. I mean, this is why I'm not a agent. He played it well. What he did was he played. Again, I was like, bro, what are you doing, bro? He played. But what he did was he gave himself the ultimate power. Because you see now what the Ravens are with Lamar Jackson. With Lamar Jackson, they are a playoff team. Now, yes, they need some help to be a Super Bowl caliber team. But with Lamar Jackson, you are a playoff team. Lamar Jackson is one of one in his position. Not saying he's the best, but there is no other quarterback like Lamar Jackson. The closest that you can kind of say is like Lamar Jackson is Kyler Murray. And you see what the hell is going on with him and the Arizona Cardinals this year. But Lamar Jackson played it well. He played it so well. He played. And he showed them just how good he was. Even in the double digit blown leads, most of that was because of the defense and because of the fact of, yes, Lamar Jackson needed to play better, but it really highlighted the lack of weapons that he has. Outside of Mark Andrews, the lack of weapons that the Ravens have, especially with Rashad Bateman being out. But Lamar Jackson played. And he had the Ravens not just the top of the AFC North. They were fighting for the top of the AFC in general. And then he got hurt. And now you're seeing just how I talk about Russell Wilson and say, you know, he was a Band-Aid for how bad the Seahawks were. Lamar Jackson is the perfect blanket for just how, you know what Lamar Jackson is? Let's think of something. Lamar Jackson is macaroni and cheese for people that like macaroni and cheese. Let's look at Thanksgiving dinner. While yes, the turkey is the staple, I'm not the biggest fan of the turkey. I rather prefer Cornish hens or something. But the turkey is the staple. But then you get to the sides. And you really start to think to yourself, when you go to Thanksgiving dinner, anybody's Thanksgiving dinner, what needs to be perfect? What needs to be right? And if that is right, everything else can be bad. But if that is right, you're not leaving the dinner thinking, damn, that joint was terrible. It was like, well, everything wasn't the best, but bang. Lamar Jackson, at least in my opinion, Lamar Jackson is the macaroni and cheese. The stuffing or dressing could be perfect, or could be salty or dry. The mashed potatoes can be runny. The greens can be hella salty. If that macaroni and cheese is good, that doesn't really matter. Yeah, you want it to matter. And yeah, it's important. But you better get that macaroni and cheese right. You better get that macaroni. The turkey can be the driest turkey of all time. You better get that macaroni and cheese right. That's what Lamar Jackson was and is to the Baltimore Ravens. And now that he's gone, i.e. the macaroni and cheese is not there, now you're starting to see, God damn, Jesus Christ, first of all, you don't have macaroni and cheese, and now The collard greens are salty as hell. Why is the mashed potatoes running? Why is there raisins in the who put raisins in the potato salad? You know, because there's no macaroni and cheese, because the staple, which I believe is the staple, is not there. Everything else is starting to look a little more like, wait, what? So what I say is this. The Ravens made this bed. And they're wondering why Lamar Jackson isn't rushing to get back. You know what would almost instantly cure Lamar Jackson? In my opinion. Again, I don't know the health status. I don't know. He could be seriously hurt. But you know what more than likely would speed up the recovery for Lamar Jackson? A fully guaranteed contract. The one he was asking for in the offseason. Because trust me, without a fully guaranteed contract, my knee hurts too. Can you play? I don't know. Because I can. My knee hurts too. My knee. My knee. You know? And the worst thing that you could do, and Lamar Jackson understands this, the worst thing that you can do is rush back from an injury without that guarantee and injure yourself again or fail in the playoffs or be a one and done, and now they're looking at you like, well, you played, so oh boy. And the last thing I'm going to say on this topic, let them franchise tag Lamar Jackson next year. If they do that, I promise you, the clock has the timer has started for Lamar Jackson being a Raven, or Lamar Jackson's exit from the Ravens. You talking about not playing now? Like, you talking about not playing? I said you shouldn't play without a contract. If they try to franchise tag you, or if they think they're gonna franchise tag you, yeah, brother, we're good on that front. So, but hey, Lamar Jackson, get well soon, man. I wish nothing but a speedy recovery. I also understand recoveries go a lot faster with guaranteed money. That's all I'm saying. Let's move forward. So week 18, the last week in the regular season, has a lot of implications. Like, there, of course, who's gonna be the number one seed in the AFC, or do the Packers make it into the playoffs, or which quarterback is playing? I mean, which head coach is playing for his job, or which quarterback is not going to be the quarterback next year? There is a lot of storylines that is in this that goes along with week 18, and I'm going to give my predictions. Week 18 sees Saturday slates and Sunday slates. There's no Monday night football, and the Saturday slate kicks off with the Chiefs at Raiders. Now, usually this would be the Raiders are going to get their head blown in. Like, you have Jarrett Stidham starting. But Jarrett Stidham looked really good last week. Now, again, that could have just been week one. I don't know. But Jarrett Stidham looked really good. And I am saying all this, but it's an energy. It kind of goes back to the Taylor Heineke, Carson Wentz. Now, I'm not saying that Derek Carr is Carson Wentz and nobody wants to play with Derek Carr, but this season hasn't worked with Derek Carr. So when you bring somebody else in like Jarrett Stidham, people play, but Devontae Adams had the best game of the season, pretty much. But with that being said, I think that what happened on Monday Night Football with the Bills and Bengals put a lot of pressure on that number one seed in the AFC. And because of that, I think the Chiefs understand, we want that number one seed. We want that bye. If not the bye, we want that home court advantage. I don't think home court advantage kind of has lost its flavor, especially when you saw what happened with the. You would think that Green Bay was like the ultimate home field advantage because of how cold it is and because no team really wants to go play in the cold in Lambeau and those the cheese heads, but the 49ers showed, hey, that home court advantage or home field advantage don't really mean much. That is not the case for Arrowhead. Now, yes, the Chiefs did lose last year at home to the Bengals. However, Arrowhead is a different level. And analysts say this, teams say this, players say this. Arrowhead is still a home field advantage. There's nothing like playing at Arrowhead. And with that being said, I think the Chiefs are going to I'm not going to say destroy because they haven't really destroyed anybody in a minute. I think the Chiefs are going to beat the Raiders. I just think the Chiefs understand what's at stake. The Chiefs understand, okay, bye week, home field advantage. Let's get this done now. And the only way to do that is we kind of control our own destiny with it beating the Raiders. I think the Chiefs are going to beat the Raiders. I think Mahomes is going to be good. Jared McKinnon has been a godsend for the Chiefs. Of course, you have Travis Kelce. McCole Harmon got taken off of IR, so he's going to be good. I have the Chiefs beating the Raiders. And the nightcap in the game that I didn't think or nobody thought going into this season was going to be one of the biggest games of the year, and that is the Titans at Jaguars. First and foremost, the AFC South has been but you're getting two teams at two different entry points right now. Now, yes, it's at the end of the year, but you're going against right now two teams going two different directions. Let's say that the Titans have been struggling are going into this week struggling. The Jaguars they're playing the right football at the right time. With I think Joshua Dobbs going to start, I have the Jags winning this. I understand that you still have Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry's not completely healthy. I just think the Jags understand what's at stake. They have the better quarterback. I would take Trevor Lawrence over Joshua Dobbs. And I have the Jaguars winning. I have the Jaguars. I have the Jaguars winning, beating the Titans. I think that they're going to beat the Titans. They're getting into the playoffs as the division winner. It's crazy. I have the Jaguars beating the Titans. On Sunday, Buccaneers at Falcons. I have the Buccaneers. I just don't. The Falcons aren't that good. I don't know who the Buccaneers are going to. I have the Buccaneers. Desmond Ritter's cool, but I just don't think he's ready. I have the Buccaneers. Patriots at Bills. This is yet another game. This is yet another big game, especially what happened on Monday. But like I said when I was talking about Damar Hamlin and I was talking about what happened on Monday, I just feel the Bills are going to play spirited. The end of that game, clearly, or the way that the game ended, and the days after, it was really somber, man. It was fear, sadness because of what happened to Damar Hamlin, but now that we're hearing that Damar Hamlin is progressing rather quickly, he was able to FaceTime the team. The team has talked to him. He's been able to talk and communicate. I just feel that is going to permeate throughout the entire team, and it's going to propel them against the Patriots. And the Bills are at home. And here's the thing about the Patriots, man. Mac Jones has regressed. Even though I don't think he's as bad as the tape is showing, He's regressed. They still don't. Their offense is god awful because they don't have an offensive coordinator. I just have the Bills beating. I think it's just the perfect recipe for the Bills winning this game. So I have the Bills beating the Patriots. Vikings at Bears. I have the Vikings. I think the Vikings are still. Vikings got destroyed last week. And the Bills aren't. I mean, the Bears aren't that good. The Bears aren't good at all, honestly. And you want to go into the playoffs on the right foot. So I have the Vikings beating the Bears. Ravens at Bengals. I have the Bengals because Lamar Jackson more than likely won't be playing. Hey, if I'm Lamar Jackson, my knee hurts too. And the Bengals also understand there's a good shot that they could be the number one seed in the AFC. So, and they just need to win. And of course, they need things to happen. But the one thing that they can control is winning that game. And I think they're at Bengals. They're trying to rally around T. Higgins because a lot of people were unfairly criticizing T. Higgins for the DeMar Hamlin injury. I have the Bengals beating the Ravens, and I don't think it's going to be close because Lamar Jackson more than likely won't play. So, Texans at Colts, doesn't matter. Colts. Jets at Dolphins. This game matters because the Dolphins have a chance to either win or make the playoffs or get eliminated. I think that because it really depends on who's the quarterback. I don't think Tua is going to play. I don't think he should play. I am on record saying that the Dolphins should not play Tua during the remainder of the season, regular or post. So I don't know. I know Teddy Bridgewater has a broken pinky. Is he going to play? I don't know. But I think that the Jets have a chance to play spoiler. Their defense is still really good with Sauce Gardner and the pieces that they have. They also. Mike White wasn't that good last week. Let's see if he's able to bounce back. I have the Dolphins winning, though. I know that's difficult because I don't know who the quarterback's going to be, but I have the Dolphins winning. I just think I know that there's more at stake for the Dolphins than anybody else. So, yeah. Panthers at Saints. I have the Saints. Both of these teams ain't playing for nothing, pretty much. I have the Saints. Browns at Steelers. I have the Steelers. I don't think the Steelers are going to make the playoffs, and I think they kind of understand that. But I also understand, and the Steeler organization understands how important that Mike Tomlin never having a losing record streak is for him and for that organization. So I think that they're going to play spirited. I think that they're playing a rival, which is the Browns. I just think the Steelers are going to win. I think that they're going to lean on their defense. They're going to lean on their run game with Najee Harris, and I have the Steelers winning this one. I think they're going to try to preserve that streak that Mike Tomlin has. So, Eagles at Giants. Giants at Eagles. I'm sorry. I have the Eagles winning. I have the Eagles winning this. I just think, I don't know. I have the Eagles winning. The Eagles want to get off on the right foot. I don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to play. I really wouldn't play if I'm Jalen Hurts. I'd just wait to the playoffs. But I have the Eagles. The Eagles are just a better team, in my opinion. Cowboys at Commanders. I have the Cowboys. I went on a very long I guess, speech or whatever last episode about Ron Rivera, and I stand on everything that I said, and it just brings more credence this week when you come out and say that Taylor Heineke is going to start, and then hours later or a day later you say, never mind, Sam Howell's going to start. Now we don't know if Taylor Heineke is going to be back on the team because he will be a free agent. You're benching Carson Wentz, but what does that mean for next year? Now you're saying that Brian Robinson's not going to play. Antonio Gibson had foot surgery. You don't know if he's going to play. Yeah, man, the Commanders are a mess, bro. I don't know. Chargers at Broncos. I have the Chargers. Broncos just ready to get the season over with. One of the most disappointing, actually probably the most disappointing story of this entire season. I think that the Chargers have just been better, and the Chargers actually are playing for something, playing for seeding position. So I have the Chargers. Rams at Seahawks. This is a big game because if the Seahawks win, it eliminates the Lions, whether the Lions win or lose from the playoffs. And I just think you're at Seattle. You're going against the Baker Mayfield, who has played better than I expected for the Rams, but he still hasn't played that good. And the Seahawks are actually playing for something and motivated. I have the Seahawks winning this. I think Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback than Geno Smith, but not that much better. And especially this year, if we're just putting this year into a capsule, I would say Geno Smith is the better quarterback just this year. But in totality, I would go Baker Mayfield just slightly. But that, to me, that doesn't matter this week. I have Geno Smith and the Seahawks beating the Rams, essentially putting themselves in the playoffs. Cardinals at 49ers. I have 49ers beating the absolute hell out the Cardinals. Cardinals are a mess. Cardinals are bad. Cardinals are really ready to get the season over with. I have the Cardinals losing. And Sunday Night Football, Lions at Packers. People are pretty much already shoehorning in the Packers to making the playoffs at this point, and which means that they're going to beat the Lions. And it's hard I'm on the side of the Packers winning, but I'm not on the side of it's just going to be easy. The Lions beat them before, and the Lions do. We talk about this win streak that the Packers have. They haven't really played a solid team outside of the Vikings. And we talk about the Vikings defense isn't that good. I just think the Lions present something, or the Lions are good. The Lions, kind of like the Jaguars, are peaking at the right time. And the thing that the Green Bay Packers still struggle with, especially defensively, is what the Lions excel at, and that is stopping the run. The Lions, with DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, they have a 1-2 running game that is one of the top in the league. Not saying the top, but one of the tops in the leagues. And while the Packers have been good defensively the last few weeks, of course, intercepting the ball and being a ball hog, they still struggle with stopping the run. And I think, with the speed in which that the speed and unorthodox nature that the Lions play with, I think the Lions have a good shot of winning. Now, I think the Packers understand the moment is going to rise to the occasion, but I also thought that last year in the playoffs, when they had home field advantage and they were the number 1 seed and they played Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers, I thought the Green Bay Packers were going to win that. So I'm going to go with Green Bay, but I'm not as confident in Green Bay beating the Lions as a lot of people are. I do think it's going to be a close game. Aaron Rodgers has not thrown over 300 yards this entire season. I don't think that's going to start now. I think that they're going to need to lean heavy on the run game like they've done most of the season with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. And I think they're going to win, but just not as convincing as everybody else thinks. That's week 18. Let me know what you guys think. And the game is at 4:00 today? Yeah, 4:30 today. So we'll see. Moving forward. I'm here to you know what I realized? A lot of media pundits, whether it's a podcast like this or, national televised sports media, they don't go back to takes. They'll say a take and, something will transpire throughout the season or later on that kind of eliminates their take or proves their take to be wrong at the time. They don't really go back. They just continue talking about something else, or they'll talk about the topic and not address the fact that no, you were wrong a couple months ago, brother. So let me be the one. I was wrong about my take. I was wrong about my take when we talk about the Brooklyn Nets. I was wrong, but I was wrong. All right. How do I? Let's just go head first. I said that the Brooklyn Nets were going to struggle mightily this year. I said that damn near by trade deadline, KD and Kyrie probably weren't going to be on the team, especially after firing Steve Nash. I just didn't think just how noisy the offseason was for the Brooklyn Nets. I didn't think they were going to have a good season. I didn't think that they were going to be good in the slightest, honestly, just because of how loud it was. I mean, hell, KD asked for a trade. Kyrie Irving was looking around to see, different destinations that he can go to, or he did the trade list. It was a lot. It was a lot, and because of that, I said the Brooklyn Nets were going to have a bad year. And because they were going to have a bad year, I thought KD was going to get his wish just by the trade deadline, and I thought Kyrie Irving was not going to be there. And I was wrong. That take was wrong. We look up today, and if I'm not mistaken, the Brooklyn Nets are third in the East. I think they're a game and a half behind first place. They've won 15 out of their last 17 games. KD is playing at an All NBA level, at an all-time level. Kyrie has played at an all-time level, and they're both playing. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are playing incredible. They're playing so good, you forget the fact that Ben Simmons is still kind of on a nightly basis. I was wrong. I thought that there was no way the Brooklyn Nets could have a good season because of everything that happened on the offseason. Now, I will say this. With the success that I'm seeing, at least right now, that the Brooklyn Nets are seeing because behind the play of Kyrie Irving and KD, this is exactly how I thought the Brooklyn Nets, and this is exactly how the Brooklyn Nets can win. You get a lot of scoring. You get a huge scoring punch from your two scorers, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and then you have help. You get shots and you get big moments from Seth Curry. You get big moments from TJ Warren. You get Nick Claxton. You don't need them a lot, but you need them to step up when they need to be stepped up. However, you still have the play from KD. You still have play from Kyrie. So I was wrong in saying that they would have a bad season. And this is exactly the Brooklyn Nets that I thought when they first were compiled before James Harden. This is the Brooklyn Nets. This is exactly how I said this team was going to succeed. This team was going to fare. It needed to do some things. This is exactly what it needed to do. The only way to win is by getting huge scoring punches from Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So I was right in that sense. Let's just not bash on my takes. I was right on that sense. But, and I hate to be I'll say it. Looking at this Brooklyn Nets team, I don't think, just currently constructed, how they're playing now, and we can all agree that they're playing their best basketball right now. I don't think that this team is good enough to win a championship. And I know it's crazy to say, seeing as though they just won 15 out of their last 16 games. 15 out of the last 17 games. But when we talk about other teams in the league, the Boston Celtics just don't have two players. Well, of course you have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but you have every single person on that team can play defense. You can't say that for the Brooklyn Nets. And while, yes, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are your breadwinners, if they're struggling, you can have Marcus Smart pick up the slack for maybe a game or two. You can have Al Horford pick up the slack for maybe a game or two. You can have, you have Malcolm Brogdon coming off the bench. You still have, it's a total team. I'm starting to have concerns for the Milwaukee Bucks, but even the Milwaukee Bucks still have a whole team. You still have Giannis, and then when healthy, you have Chris Middleton, you have Drew Holiday, you have Bobby Portis, you have Brook Lopez, you have Grayson Allen hitting big shots. It's just more of a collective team that they can throw at you. If Kevin Durant isn't playing well, yes, you have Kyrie Irving that can play well, but who else is going to step up? And even when Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving is playing well, they struggle defensively mightily. Kyrie Irving is not the best defender, and it's kind of hard asking Kevin Durant to be a great defender while still averaging like 32 points a game. That's a lot. So, yes. Oh, and let's not, they don't really have anybody that can deal with Joel Embiid. The Cleveland Cavaliers it's just, and let me not even go on the West. So I think that this team is good. And I was wrong about my takes of how the season was going to go by the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie Irving has been sensational. Kevin Durant has been sensational, as they usually are. But this team is going to need more if their aspirations are really winning a championship. Because in the way that this team plays and the way that this team is built, they're not good enough for that, in my opinion. Now, again, if I'm wrong again, I will come back and say that I'm wrong. But I don't think that I am. So there's that. Let's move forward. So the national championship is on Monday. I talked about this a little bit in my last episode, and I definitely put a clip out about it. But the national championship is here, or on Monday, and this to me was the most unpredictable national championship. Now, yes, a lot of people, including myself, thought that actually no. If you really look at how after last year's national championship with Georgia clearly winning, Georgia lost majority of their defense. They lost majority of their defense. They lost a lineman. They lost some wide receivers. They lost a lot. So it was still in question, and it was still questionable if they would be good enough to make it back to the national championship. And due to their defense still being great now, they just reloaded. Their defense is good. It's the people that stayed, for another year, they've stepped up. Stetson Bennett has stepped up. The wide receiver core is great. Georgia, any questions that I had about Georgia after that national championship and if they were good enough was quickly extinguished. So when we say the most unpredictable national championship, we're also talking about TCU. Nobody had TCU. I don't even know if TCU had TCU in the national championship. New coach, Max Duggan. He, you know his story. He wasn't the most highly scouted wide or quarterback. The running game, the defense is still the defense. So I didn't think they were going to win. I didn't think that TCU was not even on my radar. We were talking about national championship, especially when you have Alabama and Michigan, and we thought Clemson was going to be good, But we're here. National championship. Georgia, TCU, number 1 seed against the number 3 seed. Let me first say how each team could win and how each team and my concerns about each team. Let's see Georgia. The way Georgia can win is Georgia is going in as the heavy favorite with their defense, and they're the powerhouse. The defense is humming, even though the defense struggled last week. Their defense is still elite. Stetson Bennett, he's been there before, and this has been arguably the best team all year. That's why they're number 1. They're 14-0. So they've been there before. They have the experience, and they're just the complete team. It's very hard to see a problem with their team, and it's very hard to see a hole in their team, which is why they're the big, heavy favorites, and I understand why. Now, the concern that I have stems from last week. If it wasn't for the worst missed kick I've ever seen in my entire life, Georgia would be at home right now, and we'd be talking about TCU and Ohio State. Their defense did not come to show up in the biggest game so far of their season. I was shocked. The defense that we've seen Georgia to have it just didn't show up. And the speed in which TCU plays with, I don't know if Georgia will be able to keep up. Well, yes, Georgia plays some good teams. The SEC isn't really known for their speed. They're known for their physicality. They're known for the big bodies they have. They're known for just physical brand of football. They're not really known for physical brand and speed. Maybe the one team in the SEC that's known for their speed and their toughness is Alabama. So that is the cause for concern that I have for Georgia. How are they going to be able to keep up, or are they going to be able to keep up with the speed and physicality that TCU brings with their run game? Even though, we don't know their starting running back is going to play or not, but with their run game and with the wide receivers that they have, will Georgia be able to keep up? Because they are a missed field goal away for not being here, and us talking about C.J. Stroud and Ohio State. For TCU, one of the advantages that they have is, like I said, their speed. Their toughness. There's multiple ways they can win in multiple ways. They can win on the ground. They can win with Max Duggan. They can win multiple ways. And while their biggest concern of the year has been their defense, over the last few weeks, their defense has stepped up mightily, and actually their defense is the biggest reason why they beat Michigan, getting 2 pick sixes. 2 pick sixes. Max Duggan didn't have the best game, but because your defense was playing as good as it was, you didn't have to have your best game. So that is an advantage they have. It's just they can win in multiple ways. And their concern that I have kind of goes back. They haven't played. Their most physical team they've played is Michigan. They lost to Kansas State. But Michigan was probably the closest that they would get to playing a team like Georgia. And I don't know, sitting here today, because of course it's all hearsay, she said. I mean, it's all like we don't know. But I don't know if Michigan would beat Georgia. I think they could, but I don't know. Their defense, TCU's defense, has been good over the last few weeks, but the whole season has not been good. In fact, their defense has probably been their Achilles heel. So are we going to get the defense of recent, or the recent few weeks that helped them, propel them to win over Michigan? Or are you going to get the defense that they trailed in a lot of their games, especially early on in the season. They trailed in most of their games. Now, yes, they came back and won, but they trailed in majority of their games. So who do I have winning? I know that TCU is the Cinderella story that is right now, because nobody expected him to be there. But I just feel that, Kirby Smart and the experience that Georgia has and the complete team that Georgia has, I think the close game to Ohio State can be one of two things. It could be a sign of things to come, or it could be a wake-up call. And I think that it's going to be a wake-up call for Georgia. And it's like, yo, if we don't get it together, we could lose to TCU. Because TCU, if you want to argue, you can argue it, but TCU is a better team than Ohio State. So I think it's going to be a wake-up call, and I have Georgia winning. I just think the experience and the overall team, I think the Georgia team overall is better than TCU's team, in my opinion. So I have Georgia winning the national championship. We'll talk about it on Wednesday, see what happens. Bada bing, bada boom. Oh, man. Talk about a transition. Chris Beard, man. Chris Beard is fired from Texas for domestic violence. Apparently, he beat up and bit his wife or girlfriend or something. He's talking about it was in self-defense or something. I don't know. Let me tell you something, bro. I don't know what to say, bro. You did this to yourself, bro. Keep your hands off women, man. You ain't got to hit women, bro, or bite women. And now you lost your job to your alma mater. That's crazy. I mean, I don't know what else. I don't know. And the thing is, Texas was slow on this, and rightfully so. They came out and said we allowed the process because Texas didn't want to fire Cuz. They didn't want to fire him at all. They're just like, let's wait to see, the findings and everything. And once they saw it, they were just like, oh yeah, Slim, you up out of here, bro. You wilding way too much for us. And that doesn't go with our brand. Once I saw the allegations, I was like, yeah, bro, it's a wrap. Now, it could have came out and said it wasn't true. If that case, then yeah, but he wasn't even saying it wasn't true. I was like, oh, he's admitting to this. Oh, okay. Yeah, so you're done. You're done in Texas, bro. I don't think he's gonna be done everywhere, but yeah, he's out of here in Texas. Texas don't play that. Hell no. And lastly, before we go, I guess this is a call. Well, this is a question that I have for the media, sports media mostly. So Dana White was caught on film slapping the dog-ish out of his wife twice. Now, yes, his wife slapped him first, but Dana White, big ass, slapped the dog shit out of his wife. And this is video, by the way. Dana White even came out and said, I'm not defending this at all. I did it. I was wrong. Like, Dana White said he was wrong. And clearly he was. He slept good. He slapped his wife. I hear media pundits. I'm not going to say no names, but I hear sports media people finding a level of grace for this situation, this story, on both sides. That I see them have a lot of care talking about this story. talking about this video, talking about Dana White and his character, talking about his wife and how great of people they are. That's all I've seen. Just take a considerable amount of care covering this to the point now where I don't even hear this anymore. And this happened New Year's. So the question that I have is, you're clearly able to have a level of care for situations like this. My question is, where is that level of care when we talk about other people? Like, I don't know. Where was that level of care when we talked about Ray Rice? Where was that level of care when we talked about Michael Vick? Where was that level of care when we talked about Kyrie Irving? And Kyrie Irving ain't do nearly the thing that Dana White did. Where was that level of care when we talked about Henry Ruggs? I see they talk about how great of a guy Dana White is, and how Dana White would never mean to do this, even though we just saw it on video. I talk about I see they talk about how we should give forgiveness, or we should send forgiveness to Dana White. Forgiveness to Dana White, the guy that slapped his wife twice in a video. Forgiveness, and how we shouldn't be so hard on Dana White because we all make mistakes. We all have moments. We all have low moments. But where was that understanding for African American people or athletes? Where was that understanding for Kyrie? Yo, Nike dropped Kyrie. People were saying Kyrie shouldn't play basketball again. People were saying that Kyrie is anti-Semitic. And all he did was retweet a documentary. Trust me, I came in here and said, yo, Kyrie should apologize because he offended some people. That's it. And I understand the suspension. I get that. But I never, ever questioned Kyrie's character or threw his character under the bus. I also never talked about his intent because I don't know what his intent was. His intent was to spread something. Where is that level, the level of care that I'm seeing Dana White get from people that don't know this man? And people, and Dana White isn't even giving himself that level of care. But why do I see and hear all these people talk about, whoa, chill out on Dana White, man. He made a mistake. He made a mistake. And we shouldn't hold him to that mistake. But yet these are the same people that dogged Kyrie Irving, that dogged Ray Rice, that dogged allegations from Ray Lewis, that dogged T.O. when he didn't have not an off-field allegation, that dogged Michael Vick. To this day, people look at Kyrie Irving differently. People look at Michael Vick differently. I ain't heard nothing from Ray Rice. Ray Rice can't even be seen. So, my question in closing is, you clearly can find the gentleness in a story. Gentleness and compassion in talking about somebody's lowest moments, like Dana White. So why is it so hard to find that compassion and that delicacy when we talk about people of color that haven't done nearly as much that we saw Dana White do on video? And if we did, because of course you're going to say, well, Ray Rice, again, you find the delicacy to talk about it about Dana White, who has a track record of being an asshole. Yet, you somehow lose the compassion and you lose the delicacy when we talk about African Americans at their lowest moments. And a lot of times, African Americans' lowest moments are not nearly as bad as other people's lowest moments. And there you have it. That's been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. I appreciate you guys. If you want a Popular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweater, long sleeve joggers, the link is in the description below. Go get your Unpopular Podcast merch today. Whatever you like, I got you. Also, please subscribe to wherever you're listening. It definitely means a lot to me. Subscribe to the YouTube. Subscribe to wherever you get your DSPs. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I'm trying to, grow the podcast. So I appreciate you guys. And until next time, much love.